But right middle side, it's Hurricane, and top middle, it's Dream. And this is actually a bit of a special matchup because, again, for the dear YouTube audience out there, I've teamed up with Mapu, and he's doing all the observing, so I'm not actually in game right now. And apparently Mapu has really wanted to cast a Dream game all night. He didn't tell me though, or we could have tried earlier. So he's expressing to me he's very excited that we're actually in this game. He really wanted to see this one, so that works for me. I like seeing Dream. I like seeing Hurricane. Mapu's zooming in on these slow fields. Actually, I'm a little surprised it's Purity in Industry. This is without a doubt, like, no, I don't even need to look up statistics to know that this is a fact, but this is like one of the most vetoed maps of all time from this season. We rarely see it in pro play and often see it in amateur play. So it's interesting that this ends up being map 1 between these two. I don't know who to root for. This is the lower bracket at this point, worth noting. So unfortunately, somebody gets eliminated and somebody will not be competing in TSL Season 5. And I guess this is where I'll do a quick call to action for our YouTube. Again, if you guys are watching this on YouTube and you're not subscribed, maybe you came from SC2 Cast or Reddit or Twitter, wherever it may be. I do a lot of these StarCraft videos, and I hope you guys will subscribe to the channel to see more in the future. Our new YouTube editor, Will, has been doing such a great job. We've been putting out a video almost every single day since he started working with us, and he's been doing a really good job of being consistent about it. Because as you guys know, I get really carried away with Twitch, and I don't often upload everything to YouTube. So he's been doing a great job. And a big thank you to Will, whose Twitch name is Imperfect, if you guys ever see him in the chat. It's real good, PogChamp. Hi, New Pasta. Oh my God, we're live. I could actually do the applause bot potentially at some point. And his probe heads up, it's gonna get shot out by the Reaper if it stays out in the open, so just withdraws it to the main base. The Adept is almost out. Oh, I should, I'm just gonna tell Mappy real quick to nag players. Remember to nag players. We use WSS Game Heart. Oh yeah, so we keep getting the good overlay stuff. Anyways, another game without Game Heart is not the end of the world, but Reaper hops up here and has danced around this Adept really well, actually. In most situations, this Reaper would have already been dead, and I don't think he's going to get another probe kill out of this, but he has extended his stay significantly. Hold on, he might get the probe. Oh, he misclicked on the Stalker. If he didn't misclick that Stalker, he would have got a probe kill too, which was sick. But really good Reaper micro out of Dream. Good to see. Now, Purity in Industry is obviously a very funny map, and most of you watching, I'm sure, aren't that acquainted with it because of the reasons I just mentioned, where it's often vetoed, so we don't see it in a lot of our VODs and a lot of pro play. But even though there's an island base in the top right, it's worth noting that this entire season, the hundreds of games of StarCraft I've covered, I have still literally never seen anyone take the island base outside of us amateurs, so don't get too excited for it. But the map has a really cool split, and that slow field between the main bases makes it very difficult to pull off drops, be it from Terran or from Protoss. So the short air distance back in the days of what is basically remastered Scrap Station would have been painful. It's not that bad to deal with, actually. Which goes back to, I'm surprised this map gets vetoed so often, because I do feel like it's a non-issue. I love the way the expansions are set up as well. There's a gold base in the bottom left. Blabbity blabbity blue. Yeah, this map is basically Scrap Station all grown up, says New Pasta. Exactly. It is. It's the modern day, got a haircut. It's in its 40s now. Remarried twice version of Scrap Station. I don't mind this trend, by the way, because in the past we've had a lot of really great StarCraft maps. I love how Cloud Kingdom was basically remastered into Eternal Empire. I don't think we need to do this every season, but I think once in a while getting some of those old maps rebuilt is cool. But oh my God. This almost went up as poorly as it could have. Grabs like 3 probes with that, really not too fantastic, but he gets a really good scout. Confirms what units are on the field, sees all the tech buildings as well, between the Hellion and the medevac, that is. Still, the way these Widowmine drops work out is like, they're supposed to maybe do some damage, but definitely get scouting. However, if the medevac or medevac and Widowmines get out alive, then it's really favorable for the Terran. It's really unfavorable if not. So there's no even trade there. It's really just kind of like, do your best. Now another Widowmine rushes over. This time, okay, Hurricane pulls away pretty much immediately. shot is somewhat wasted, but he'll pick it up and keep it alive. And if the presence of this medevac can keep 3 or 4 stalkers in the main base, all the more power to Dream having less units on the map to deal with. Now, it's 2 bases, and these timings are kind of feeling more like a 2-base push, borderline all-in, than necessarily a macro game. If we see a 3rd CC, that still won't necessarily mean it's going to be a macro game, because it is going to be determined upon the damage he deals. But with like 1 to 2 siege tanks, probably 3 or 5 SCVs pulled, and this huge cluster of Marines pushing, this is a map that is very favorable to somebody who wants to siege up outside the base. Oh no, with the slow field, it is even more difficult to maneuver. So dangerous. It's like a 70%, no, 35% slow, excuse me, 35%. Thank you, Mapu. So unfortunately, it is rough for that medevac to deal with. Pulling back just makes more sense. Now, of course, he'll have that to complement the real push that is coming here very soon. And I don't know if this is like a perfect timing, because he's not really timing this out with +1 or stim, but you know, he's gonna have +1 combat shields and stim. There's so much damage output potential in these Marines. I believe he's waiting on the 2nd tank, if I had to wager a guess. It looks like he might actually split for some drops. I don't know about this. Clearly, as indicated through the slow fields, it's very difficult to get drops into the base. But if all those stalkers are pulled to the front lines to defend this push, then the drop has a lot of freedom. Or conversely, if the front line is, you know, stalkers are staying in the main base to wait for one medevac, then the forward push has a lot of momentum. The point is, I think Dream's got a lot of capability for damage, and it's up to Hurricane to hold on and not lose this game. Now, this is a really great observer over here in the middle of the map. It does see the army past the watchtower. He knows where this is, and he's going to try and intercept a bit here with the stalkers. You know, the idea here is you pick off a siege tank or a Marine or 2 before the battle really begins. Turning on a dime, though. Wasn't expecting stim. He's staring down the rocks, too, which I actually think would favor a little bit differently, but that's a... Okay, interesting. That is a shell battery and a cannon. That's going to make this a lot more frustrating to deal with. But the Marine count here is big enough. The Warped and Zealots are getting blown away. The front line gets crushed. The force fields are so sick. Dream's going to lose out of this fight. Hopefully gets the medevacs out alive. Meanwhile, the main base hasn't done nearly enough damage, I feel, to make this worthwhile. He's killed some probes and Zealots, but this hasn't exactly crippled the economy yet. In fact, he may have been better off just going for that very Artosis-y pylon. Although I guess the question is, was it an Artosis pylon or an in-control pylon? Oh, here's the pull. He's going back for round 2, and it's all in. So when the timing for this works out, pretty much SCVs end up being an extension of the army's HP, right? Oh, he wants to not let him see it's all in. Oh, that's so sick. He didn't see this with the observer. But the point here is, like, you need more sentries and you need area of effect units to stop this kind of attack. He has a few sentries, but yeah, this is this is excuse me, this is probably gonna be the end of the game, one way or the other. I don't know for who. Like, either Dream fails the attack and Hurricane holds on, but Hurricane's out of position, so I kind of feel like Hurricane's gonna die here. There's just so much Terran blitzing in. Oh my god, guys. Now the back attack catches reinforcements, sure. Siege tank going down sucks, but these Zealots needed to be at home. SCVs soak up some of the shots. Marines continue to blitz in. It's 7-1 army supply, but I will say Hurricane's got armor going for him now. You know, beforehand, the attack was going to hit and there'd be no armor. He'd be squishy as hell against these Marines, but should be fairly durable. The tanks are going to get flanked by the Zealots again, but these Zealots die without the tanks dying. Oh, this is bad for Dream. I think it's time. Wait a minute, he's turning around on Hurricane. It doesn't matter who we're dancing for, because at the end of the day, this is still going to be the end of the game. It looks like, yep, that's it, GG. Dream does push through and persevere. And that's going to send us to game 2. Spawning here to the top right side of the map. He's down 1 at the moment from that blitz. We have the red Protoss, Hurricane. And to the bottom left, up 1-0, our blue Terran. He is none other than Dream. Now, Dream was one of these other guys who, like Armani, they went through the military. We didn't expect great things from them when they came back, but actually, I think I actually may have cast one of the first pro matches from Dream coming back from the military. He played versus DRG in a small invitational, and even right out of the military, Dream was looking to be in good shape. He wasn't amazing, and it was very clear he was rusty, but he was winning and he looked good. So I'm really glad to see he's really refined and still continued to persevere. And here he is still fighting for his life in this qualifier. Frag Grenade, who's been our little resident Google expert, has updated us saying Hurricane was knocked out of the losers round 2 and 4. Dream was locked out of the losers 2 and 3. So it looks like they've played a lot of these qualifiers up to this point, but neither quite cinching the actual victory yet. Thank you again, Frag Grenade, for helping us with that that quick Google foo. Saves me the headache of these screen regions, because I don't want to last thing I want to do is like ruin the illusion of the broadcast. Who am I kidding? I do this all the time. Look at us over here. Goo. Actually, I had a very interesting question. Someone from YouTube reached out to me the other day asking about what I use for recording software and audio, and they were looking for like free options and free help. And unfortunately, my audio setup is very expensive. It's how I can do dumb little voices like this on the fly and make my voice sound a little bit better than it normally does. So I can't give anyone free tips about the audio, but I will say OBS Studio is free and it has served me well. I was one of the people who purchased a lifetime subscription to Xfire. Excuse me. XSplit. And it was such a garbage bag program, and I regret every moment that I spent any time on it wasted. But OBS has done well in its absence, and it is free, and I would definitely recommend checking it out. There is Streamlabs OBS, but I kind of look at the two as one's pick up and go and the other's for professionals, right? Like I think you're going to use Studio if you're knowledgeable with using overlays and editing things, but if you want to just like pick up and go with Streamlabs OBS. I'm not a fan of Streamlabs at all, though. I'm actually very anti-Streamlabs, very pro Stream Elements, but I would still recommend their OBS as a very nice, easy starter if you guys are getting into like recording games of your own or maybe thinking about streaming. Gabba gabba goo! Oh my god, is that gonna be our new catchphrase? You know what? Side note, sorry, well, I know this game's getting underway and Blink is very much worth talking about. Before that kicks in and before this becomes very serious, we'll have a little bit of off-topic conversation. My question for you guys is, we have unlocked a golden skin option in Stream Raiders. So this is for the Stream Raider people. My curiosity strikes, what unit would you like to see a golden skin version of? Because I don't know what unit to give it to. We unlocked that through the Skinathon 2 months ago at this point, and I still haven't. I have to just tell them a unit to give it to. Why anti-Streamlabs? Oh, because they are the most bullshit like organization I've ever seen. Their people are super fake. Their partner managers are garbage. I could go on and on about it. I hate Streamlabs. And my favorite thing is they'll still reach out to me all the time because they don't realize that the last 3 people I've literally told F off to reached out to me. So they just end up being spam at that point, which compounds on why I dislike them. But I could go off on this all day. I'm not here to complain about Streamlabs. I'm here to complain about Protoss. Am I right, bros? Blink though, now that we get back into the StarCraft cast, Blink is very important for a multitude of reasons, but it's also just really good, I think, for mobility against Terran. You're gonna have a lot of trouble catching medevacs or grabbing units, but if there's one thing you can do, it's early game cost efficiency through Blink. Being able to just barely escape that unit at the last point of HP, regenerate its shields, it's huge. But it also gives the Protoss player the freedom to kind of, not control, but we'll say patrol the middle of the map and catch units that are walking down. If the push is coming for like a 2-base all-in, for example, you can usually, I don't know, shave off about 1/3 of the units before they even get across the field with minimal risk, because again, it's Blink Stalkers. But the other thing you're seeing here is they're going to be able to catch medevacs. They can juke Widowmine shots as well. Let's say the Widowmine targets the Stalker, you just blink away at the last second, right? You've definitely seen players do this before. So it's that was a big explosion for a very little unit. So anyways, this has been a pretty safe opening out of Hurricane, I would say. Stargate's been a lot more favorable though. I've been watching a lot of Stargate TVP because Phoenix serve the same purpose, but are, I think, a little cheaper and cost efficient to go into. Plus probably about 10 times as infuriating to deal with as a Blink Stalker. You know, Blink Stalkers, you just eventually get Marauders. Easy peasy. With Phoenix, you gotta stress for the entire game. It's super frustrating. But I'm going to start that Stream Raider battle. So again, I apologize for doing this off stream, but it will favor us in terms of getting more maps done before the stream's over. So I'll show you guys the loot once it comes up, providing it doesn't interfere with the gameplay, but that's playing out right now. These maps are like freebie maps. It's just free loot. So the first 40 people in, gonna get all the golds. This observer is going to get a pretty nice scout, but there's not really a lot to reveal, right? There wasn't a fast third CC, but there is a third CC moving on a location. This is a good confirmation because Hurricane now knows he doesn't need like 10 shield batteries back at home because there's not some crazy all incoming similar to what we saw in the last game. Which, by the way, pulling the SCVs, I know it looks brutal when it works, but it doesn't work that often. So it's kind of neat to see when it does work, as it did for Dream, but at the same time, I always see it as a very risky move that is not worth risking the game over. But I'm not a Korean Terran, so what do I know? This medevac has done a really good job too. Like, when you consider the cost trade out of this, there's a medevac and a Widow Mine there that is not at all a threat. Well, it is a threat, but I mean, it's not a threat because there's 4 stalkers waiting to intercept it. But that means there's 4 stalkers. So essentially, they've traded out some supply that neither player will be using for the real fight. I think it'll be a little bit easier to withdraw the medevac than the stalkers, though. Now, charge results is going to be really helpful against this bio composition. It's going to make run bys a little bit more volatile too. But oh, if Dream can see this warp prism coming, he doesn't need to kill it. He just needs to know where it's coming from. I think that's the most infuriating thing for Terran. As much as I, and I'm sure every Terran player out there, could balance complain about warp prisms, you know, only costing minerals and no gas, picking up units from like 5 yards away, no big deal, warping in a whole arm, none of that really matters, because as long as you see it coming, it's a little bit easier to defend. And I think it was expecting it to go around the leftmost side of the map, which is why those Marines look like they're out of position. But he handles this only losing 2 SCVs, and that's all thanks to that Marine Scout in the top left. Archer for skin. Stunt. We actually have an Archer skin on the way. That's our next skin coming up. Also, really quickly here, before we get into the actual battle, here's the rewards. Congrats if you won something. And the next battle is already queued up. We are speed running tonight, dudes. I'm actually so proud of you guys. We haven't been able to speed run Stream Raider battles in God knows how long. So good job. Keep it up. Let's see if we can keep those blitzes going. More battles means more loot. Okay, so the medevac, the Widow Mine, still just playing a point here of contention over on the right side. If it did dive in, though, it would get a really cool scout. And I think what is unfortunate is Dream doesn't know its disruptors. At this point, every Terran player worth their salt knows there's some kind of area of effect damage coming out of the Protoss. Be it through Colossus, aka Kalus, be it through disruptors, or be it through storms. Not knowing exactly what kind it is does make this a little bit more frustrating to deal with. For example, I think we'd see a little bit more Liberator emphasis than Ghosts if he knew that this was Robotech. But I don't think the Ghosts will serve him poorly because he's going for enhanced shockwaves. Those are going to be some big monster EMPs in the battle. Lovely Terran wants to know who's at an advantage right now. Well, technically Dream has more army supply to work with, so a better fight would be ideal, but if Hurricane lands 1 disruptor shot, Dream loses like 20 supply, right? Like, I don't think anyone's necessarily ahead right now. It's all going to be determined by this engagement. I like both positions in the game, but either player could throw it away, right? Like, I always say this as a bit of a joke, but also seriously, never underestimate a player's ability to throw a 1 game of StarCraft 2. So here we go. First indication is disruptors. He is going to pull back. Oh, we're getting a little bit of lag because there's just too much going on. But disruptor shots are missing all over the place. Anti-armor hits. That's going to make those units real soft, real nice. But no way for Dream to really chase out into this. This is a tough disengage. But Hurricane pulling back makes the most sense. Not only is disruptors on cooldown, disruptors aren't really best for pushing, right? They're actually best utilized to stop someone from counter pushing or chasing back your stalkers, right? So landing these disruptor shots forward is going to be a task, to say the least. This is where the flank from behind comes into play. I think he wanted to fully sandwich this. The leftmost army is a little bit late to the party, but the right side flanks a lot of the disruptors. Force fields go down. He dodges out the disruptor shot again and again. Picks up the medevac. Oh my god! Dream is playing out of his mind right now. And Hurricane, as cool as this attack was, he does walk away with more supply, but he can't really pursue the fight right now. If he continues to attack, he's going to lose. That's why I've been calling Colossus Kalus, by the way. They have a role to serve for sure, but that sandwich tactic was so cool. The back attack was awesome. This is a planetary, so it'll hold on fairly well. Remember, there's EMPs to be had too. These ghosts are still standing, so pressuring into this with the disruptors, he's picking off the SCVs. The planetary is going to eventually fall, but now those disruptors are mostly on cooldown, and Dream really is looking to take advantage of that. Sadly, he doesn't find the opening, and he does still end up losing the base. This is a huge advantage point for Hurricane now, because even if Dream were to win this fight here out in the open, another new Nexus just finished up. He's not behind by one, but behind by 2 whole bases, and his army supply is a little lackluster. I actually think what the worst part about this is he doesn't have enough Vikings or Liberators even to contest the Colossus at this point. So I do believe Dream is going to lose this unless something crazy happens. Let's not forget the threat of these disruptors, right? As they continue to punch forward. No, monster EMP hit, and that Archon just dissipated. And if you can get in there and target fire the disruptor down before its shot detonates, you will completely dodge the shot. It will get canceled out. It won't blow up, but it's too risky to do. He doesn't have the Marauders to just dive in like that right now. Can't wait to hear the balance whine. There's no balance whine. It's just a statement, man. At this point, the Protoss army is way too powerful. Not because Protoss is too powerful, but because Dream just doesn't have the composition to deal with this. He needed Liberators, and there are no Liberators in play. So we see some juicy EMPs maybe, but I don't think he'll ever actually get to touch the army that loses its shields. He is coming from a flank from behind again, though, and I really like this, but I don't know. Again, Hurricane just economically, he's got a huge bank as well. Let's say he loses this fight. He just warps in a whole new army. Dream's actually, I didn't even realize this. Oh my God, Dream's actually supply capped. Not block, supply capped at 165. So he can physically never actually amount an army that is greater in size than that of Hurricane. I agree with the statement from chat. I think Hurricane outplayed him. I think Dream is playing out of his mind. I think Hurricane is just like, it really goes to emphasize how much better Hurricane's playing. Not that Dream is playing badly at all. And if anyone wants to criticize Dream playing badly, I think you're actually insane. Your standards are too high. Get a life. Oh! But Hurricane is really taking it up to the next level, and Dream is struggling to deal with this. And I can understand the tunnel vision, but with no Liberators against this many disruptors, and it's been so long at this point, I would have imagined we'd already seen Liberators come out. I don't think this ground composition works. Now, it's worth noting that Dream has managed to bridge that supply gap, and that big disadvantage of being supply capped has disappeared, but Hurricane still has a massive bank of 3,400 minerals. That's an easy 34 Zealots if he needs to in a pinch. As I said though, never underestimate power for a thrown game here, guys. This is still very much all in favor of Hurricane. Dream's gonna starve out of this game, I think, before it really ends, but it just takes one bad engagement for this to fall apart. And even then, 45 Zealots warped in won't be enough to win. But it's just the fact that there's another army. This is not Dream fighting the current army on the field. This is Dream fighting 2 armies. One that is ready to warp in and reinforce the second the front line starts disappearing. 3 weapons for each. Armor's a little bit behind here for Hurricane, but he's getting plasma shields as well to help make up for it. But plasma shields are just going to get EMP'd off, so kind of like a moot point, I suppose. It's funny. I'm putting a lot of emphasis on the Liberators for good reason. And Hurricane is even expecting Liberators for a transition. Look at the 2 Stargates. It's going to be 3 in total with a fleet beacon. He's expecting to get to Tempest. He's expecting to have to tango with these Liberators, but they're just not coming. He's too far behind to go for Liberators at this point. So doubling down with the bio, I don't hate it, but it's going to be a lot more of a struggle, that's for sure. Now, funny enough, Hurricane's huge army supply ends up playing against them because he doesn't have enough supply room to warp units in at home. Guess I should bring the army back for this. But at the same time, it's like, yo, his army's so big, so is that a problem? This is getting wild, dudes. I'm pretty sure this is Dream's last big blitz. He's killed 21 workers and started to whittle away at the economy of Hurricane, but I don't know, guys. There's a lot more emphasis on Hurricane needing to win this game, right? He was down 1 in the series. It's the loser's bracket. I want to see this go to game 3. So at this point, you know, I am rooting against Dream a little bit, but I also just don't think he's going to win this. I think Hurricane's too far ahead. I mean, look at the resources lost. Forget what's in the bank. Look at the resources lost, right? Well, Mappy just covered it, but it's like 20,000 to like 10,000. There you go. So expensive for the Terran. base trade might be a way to clutch this out. Like if Dream can force out an actual base trade. No, he's gonna tap out. GG. Hurricane ties up the series 1-1 and will not lose. But we continue on. And game number 3. Top left, Hurricane. Bottom right, it's Dream. The map is Nightshade. And oh my god, that wave of tire just like smacked me in my face. I'm sorry, guys. Gotta wake up here. Because we don't have a lot longer to go. We still have a few more matches. I think we have one more best of 3 before we're forced to stop. But I don't know for certain that that's the case until we get told no more. I'm actually... Where's the bracket command? I want to see brackets. Just while they open this up, I'm going to take a look. Because I have not actually looked at the lower bracket this entire time. Okay, so yeah, we might be in trouble soon. If we're lucky, we could cast the winner of this versus TY. But otherwise, I'm pretty sure everything that's left will be reserved for Wardy. We'll touch up on that once we know more. So yeah, let's just ride out the series, focus on the fun games here, and if it's over, it's over. No big deal. And if it's not over, then we keep continuing on. I'm not sure if it's been covered, but why does Wardy have a monopoly on the tournament? Oh, it's not that Wardy has a monopoly on the tournament. When you work with organizations, they will typically deem like some priority casters. Some people will name 4 or 5. Some people will only name 1. I imagine because actually it's weird that Zombie Grub isn't. I was about to say because Wardy's casting the main event. Obviously, it would make sense for him to have some priority coverage on the channel. But then I realized Zombie Grub isn't, so I don't know what their ruling on it was. But basically, they pick one language streamer, give each region or language, whatever, a priority streamer, and they just kind of lock the matches down. I feel lame because nobody really cares. I don't mean to sound rude. I'm not trying to be disrespectful to TSL, but so much of what they've done through this qualifier and their practices, it does feel like they're still in 2015. Because it used to be like this, and there used to actually be a lot of animosity between casters. Like when you guys were around, a lot of you never saw how much drama went down behind the scenes with admins, with casters, with players. Artosis actually did like that whole thing, right, about how players are assholes. So things have come a long way. We've changed a lot, but unfortunately, TSL has kind of stayed in the past a little bit. So this one caster per thing is, I think, a little bit ESL and a little bit TSL coming together. Because TSL will do that for IEM as well, if you guys recall. They'll reserve like their mainstream for the last few matches. Look, I'm over explaining it, and most of you won't care. I just want to do it in a way that you understand. There's no drama, right? This is just standard. It's not how I would like to do it, obviously, but it's how it's been done, and nobody really has a problem with it. So, God, Rifkin, way to rag on your employer. Okay, Birdman, I see. Who do you think my employer is? I'm really curious with this statement. Hit me up, brother. Who do you think my employer is in this situation? Is it the people paying me for the qualifier? Because nobody's doing that. Is it whoever's in charge of base trade TV? Guess what? That's me. Like, dude, what an uninformed statement. Thank you for the explanation. Yeah, sorry, I know I made it a little bit more overcomplicated, but again, just trying to make it very clear because people want to make trouble where there's no trouble. It's no troubles. Like by signing on to cast this, I'm agreeing to all their terms, right? So it's all Gucci, guys. I just really don't want people blowing this up. It's like the Scarlet Lobby thing. It's really not an issue. It's people turning it into an issue that becomes an issue, if that makes sense. I love it, Floofin. Thank you for the 62 months. Chilkin. Yeah, we take the chill approach to it. Thank you, Mapu. Yeah, Hurricane's a good guy. Now, look, getting back into this, some things are already developing that we should talk about. It's a fast robo. Very fast robo bay coming up. You typically don't do this unless you're looking for some Warp Prism speed. Unless you're looking for some Warp Prism speed and a little bit of cheese through either a Disruptor or a Colossus. So I'm curious to see which it will be. I think Hurricane is the type of player who can maneuver this for sure, but I don't like these moves. Oh, hold on. We'll talk about that in a second. Hypotheticals later. Widowmine now. Does kill the Widowmine. Can he get the other one? Maybe not in time. Oh, barely doesn't get the shot. I think he was microing it there for a bit, trying to stall it out, but with the observer out, yeah, just let it go. Damn, that badge is sweet. Oh, is that the new badge for you, dude? That's a 5-year badge. You're looking fantastic. Wait, no, it should be, isn't it 62.6? How does math work? Oh, it is the 5-year one. Okay, good. I did that in my head, obviously. But it is a Colossus coming up very quickly. Now, this isn't the Warp Prism speed I thought it might be. It's actually just going to be for some quick extended thermal lance. This build that Hurricane is doing is really good against 2 base all-ins and really exceptionally good against that SCV pull, if you guys remember me describing it as such in that first game in the series. I don't think this is something that's too risky, nor is it a detriment to do, but this does give away your tech path very early as Protoss. And I think there is some serious strength in that hidden knowledge. Hey, Hurt One, thank you for the 200 bits. Thank you for staying up late. Thank you for the bits. I'll make sure to split that with Mapu. He'll enjoy it. What was I saying? All right, so the 2 base all in with the SCVs. Right. So last game, for example, look what happened, right? He went to Ghost because Ghost are the catch-all. EMP can hit everything, but most importantly, it would shut down Archons and Templar. But Hurricane didn't really go that many Templar, and he barely went Archons. He went Robo out of it. And I think a large part of that was Dream not knowing that for so long is why he never comfortably got to Liberators. He never got to that late game composition that was supposed to really deal with Hurricane. But by giving this away right away, goddamn, if he doesn't go into Liberators, I'll be super upset at him losing the series for it. Even though I guess we just finished saying we're technically cheering for Hurricane. At any rate, this does, like I said, stop 2 base pushes very early. You can see one of these tanks has already been picked off. He could have saved that with a medevac, so we're going to call that sloppy. He is, however, distracted because his moves involve going to the top with this drop, something that Hurricane has nothing at home to defend right now. And these are Marines, so it's not just like wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, a couple of Widow Mines go off. He can actually unpower 2 of the gateways and shut down tech with this, and that's exactly what he's going to do. So a recall brings the units home to the natural base. This already stops the attack, but by drawing them over to the natural / the main, the extended thermal lance gets stalled out. Oh, wait, did it? No, he completed it. Excuse me. But it also draws the army out of position for the 3rd, which is what I was trying to get to. So the main base gets picked up and doesn't even die that badly. Hurricane gets blasted here at the 3rd. And this is not crazy damage done, but this is hugely disruptive to his income. Down to 45 probes, supply block no less, and that medevac going to the natural is going to have nothing to really deal with it because all the armies over here chasing the 3rd. So here we go with the 2nd round of these guys. Colossus turning around immediately. Dream is playing just as good, I feel, as he did last game, but the difference is he's making better moves because he was able to predict around Hurricane. Because the second he was already queued up for that drop, but the second he realized it was Colossus, he knew he could commit and there would be nothing at home to defend. Right? He may have played a little bit slower, tentative, whatever. This has been a great opening for Dream. However, remember, Hurricane is a good player who can macro very well, so I wouldn't call this a 1 game yet. He's down a little bit from this early game engagement, but he still has Colossus on the field. I think he's got 3 of them too, if I'm not mistaken. Hey, I was tabbed out, but I just wanted to tab in and say that it was really cool that you can do math in your head. Thank you. I'm quite proud. There's a lot of casters who are afraid to do math on stream, but I actually have the confidence to do it. Like, for example, I already know right off the bat 5 times 5 is 25. I don't even need to look that up or anything. Ooh, but I'm getting an okay shot to start, but the 3 Colossus are still a huge problem. He's going to wrap around the sides, and some Vikings chip away at this, but ultimately, I do feel like Dream has not just the upgrades, but the numbers to break this if he needs to. He just can't move in from the front. He needs to approach from a couple different sides. You know, it's actually really interesting. You guys probably never put this together at this point, but as you all know, this is StarCraft 2, and we're casting a best of 3. And 2 plus 3 equals 5. 5G? Coronavirus. I'm just saying, Corona sounds a lot like Chrono, which is a Chrono boost, which is what Protoss do to build faster and makes them stronger. So I guess what I'm basically explaining through math is that Protoss is broken. This has been a little bit tough for Dream. It's been heavily disruptive to his economy, but he managed to maintain a pretty high SCV count, and the 3rd CC just transfers over. So ultimately, while frustrating, this is not permanent damage. No, he's gonna pull the boys. This is desperate though. I don't know about this because he's in a pretty good position in my opinion. I feel like pulling the boys is entirely unnecessary. Maybe he's frustrated. Maybe he's fed up. Maybe he just hopes that breaking this army once leads to the the counterattack for a GG. I'm not a fan of him pulling the boys like that though. Into Colossus no less. Like he's got the Vikings to chip away at this. And there's no reason for him to commit as long as he has a good economy. So yeah, he puts the SCVs back to mining at the third. I was really worried about that because it looked and was frankly way too risky. But while this goes on, we still have Hurricane to the top. Looks like poised to take a fourth, but doesn't have the money for it right now. The moment he started talking about 5G, my internet started acting up. Coincidence? Oh, I'm sorry, Strobel. You may have found out my secret. I'm actually part of the Illuminati. You know what? I'd like to take this moment to apologize to the NSA guy listening into this call right now because yeah, I know you're up late too, also working, and you just gotta hear my nonsense. Oh no, this disruptor shot's pushing Dream back and he's losing out to the natural. Now the Colossus finally go down, right? Vikings mission accomplished. Now I can land them, it can help do some damage. The reverse Screwlander maneuver is always cool to see, but I don't know if this is enough. It's really getting down to the line though. Zealots on the right side, Disruptors on the front side, Marauders being so good as they are, getting healed up by these medevacs. But look in the production tab. It's what we were missing last game. It's what I was talking about this game. Liberators are on the way, and if Liberators don't clutch this game, I don't know what will. Canny defeated Ragnarok. What? I know, dude. I can't believe Ragnarok thought he had a chance against Canny. That's wild. Oh, the focus fire from the Marauders is pretty nice. It actually just barely allows them the freedom to pick up these units, scoop them to safety. Because obviously the Stalkers are just waiting for the opportunity to blink in and grab the medics. Medevacs. Mostly stabilized at home. It took a long time. A lot longer than you probably would have liked. Down to 35 SCVs doesn't feel good. But with those Colossus gone and no need for the Vikings, he can fully invest in these Liberators. And even without Liberator range, these Liberators are going to be huge. If the Stalkers want to commit to any kind of fight, you know, they have to blink in. It means those Marauders are just going to pounce on them. That should be an emote in your channel, Refkin. It is, but only other members of the Illuminati can see it. By the way, not to be confused with the Illuminati, I'm part of the Oh, I can't. I just went to type in game, but I can't type in game because I'm not in game. So I gotta bring up Notepad. I'm actually part of the, like, not the Illuminati, okay? That's not me. I'm part of the Naughty. Ooh. The Liberators do a really good job of helping zone this out. Here's why Liberators are so much better than tanks. Like, Siege tanks have 13 range, but actually Disruptors outrange them, which is really stupid and infuriating. In fact, Disruptors can kind of outrange Liberators even with Liberator range. So the trade-off is you both create these zones where nobody can walk through, right? The Liberation zones keep the Protoss from advancing. Oh my god, Dream taps out because he's getting murdered at home. I was like, wait a minute, what's killing him? And you look at the mini map. GG.